All right. Well, welcome to the R&R show. Sit back and relax. Enjoy the best little sports show ever. I'm your host, Michael Roope, and on the other side of this camera is my co-host, William Rumsey. Hello, William.
Howdy.
All right. Well, exactly 1 week later, we are back at it again, William. And boy, it's not exciting. Can you not feel Who Dey Nation just keep on building and building from from the regular season to the first postseason win in 31 years.
We're all giddy. We don't know how to act. We haven't come down from last Saturday. We're still questioning whether it's real. I mean, are we in it? We in a dream? Where do we go from here?
Well, I tell you what, me and you were talking earlier in the week, and we were already saying 3 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, we were talking dynasty.
Hey, one win in the playoffs in 31 years will do that.
What's the great about these Bengals is they're ahead of schedule. Nobody expected that this year. They didn't. They expected them to finish last in the tough AFC North, but they came out this year, got a home playoff game, and got a little dicey last week at the end. But they finished off the game, and Cincinnati went nuts.
Yeah. And I will say it got dicey at the end because, they were quickly down 2 linemen. As soon as those 2 defensive linemen went out, mainly Hendrickson, things changed. I mean, Carr got a little more comfortable back there, and it showed. But, hey, they manned up and pulled that out, and we should tip our caps to them for, finishing that game with a win.
Yeah, and I think – what they did, they finished. What did McPherson kick? 4 field goals?
Yes.
They were in range for. They should. I know it's a playoff game. You can't say that, but to go farther in these playoffs, they need to capitalize on those possessions and put them in the end zone.
Well, 1,000%. But on the flip side of that, instead of having Fat Randy, we got Legatron McPherson doing what we drafted him to do, and he was knocking them through. So that was a definite plus. I don't know if
I think Fat Randy's on the opposite sideline today.
Yeah. Hey,
wouldn't that be poetic justice?
Wow. Like there's no way Fat Randy sinks this ship. I'll tell you that. So, but that being said, let's talk about obviously just briefly, we'll touch on last week's game. Anything that jumped out to you in that win?
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase continue their march through the college football and the NFL. I think I was reading something today. It doesn't matter if Jamar Chase is covered; he's not with Burrow. He'll look to him at any point in time. Which granted, we think he got away a little bit from T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd last week, but it worked. Proof is in the pudding. So I think that those two's connections really stuck out to me, which, not a surprise really going out on a limb there, but you just never know in a player's first playoff game how they're going to react, and they went above and beyond.
I was a little surprised at the lack of production from Higgins. I think that changes this week. It's going to have to change because I promise Tennessee is not going to let just Chase solely beat him, so he's going to have to get some other players involved. And you know what? And Uzama had a pretty decent game last week. But I think Higgins is going to be a big key to today's game.
Yeah, and I think that, the defensive line, they lost, Ogunjobi, Mike Daniels, and Hendrickson all in that game. And it showed down the stretch. They could not get any pressure on Carr. Hendrickson's going to be back today, I believe. Ogunjobi's still out. Daniels is out. So I don't know who they're going to plug in the middle, but
they signed a couple guys off some practice squads from some other teams.
But I truly think Hendrickson, as important as Burrow is to the offense, Hendrickson is that on the defense. He needs to get pressure on Tannehill, needs to make some big tackles on Derrick Henry. So hopefully he can. I don't know if we've got an official word yet that he's in, but I know he was okay. So he was trying. Okay. All right.
So I will say this. All right. So, I talked to quite a few people. Everybody, they're worried. I hear some, so-called experts. This is the game everybody feels comfortable about. Tennessee will roll. And I don't want to hear it because I guess a lot of people have short memory that this Bengal team beat Tennessee last year pretty soundly to the tune of 31-20. And, Derrick Henry got his in that game. He got almost 120 yards. So Derrick Henry will get his this game if, and that's a big if, his foot holds up. Because let's face it, practicing leading up to a game, that's a lot different than actually getting hit, because I guarantee you he had one of those special jerseys on like Tannehill saying, "Don't hit me," because
so you being a football guy playing in high school back in the day and in college, what an injury like that when you're first what will the cold weather do to that?
Well, I tell you what, I fractured my left hand in the sectional finals.
Mm-hmm.
And my beloved coach Rod Ballard said, "Tape it up. You're still playing." So I never played in the next week in a regional with a fractured hand. It does play a part. You think about it. He's going to think about it. There's no doubt he's going to think about it. Now, that first couple carries, he's, once he gets in a pile up and he's getting stepped on or whatever, that's going to be the whole key, because it's going to be cold. We know that. So is it going to tighten up? Because a fracture, when you get cold, I mean, it's different. It's going to be a little different. So we're going to know early on whether he's going to be a factor or not.
I think that Logan Wilson played well last week, and then Pratt making that interception. So our linebacking core is on a roll, and they've got a tall task to step up and stop Henry today. And if they can do that, then the Titans have AJ Brown on the outside. That's going to be, he's one of the elite receivers.
We talked off air. I really think the key to the game gets down to, I still think Derrick, if he is healthy, that's a big question. If he is healthy, I believe, the Bengals will do well against AJ Brown. It's going to be a matter of if Julio holds up and what he does. Julio comes up lame more times than not.
He does.
This playoffs, so I don't know. Maybe he just didn't really care about the regular season. There's a lot of big ifs with this Tennessee and a lot of question marks, but I do feel very comfortable if the Bengals get out to a lead, an early lead, and then we get into the third quarter where then they kind of get away from that running game a little bit. I think Bengals all day.
So talk a little bit. What do we think about Ryan Tannehill?
Nothing. Garbage. Statue back there.
I don't think he's garbage.
He is garbage. I'll tell you, he should give that whole contract to Derrick Henry. The only reason he is good is because Derrick Henry makes that play action work.
Man.
And that's when he has to do anything by himself. You've seen what he did. They lose to the Houston. They lose to the Jets. They lose to Jaguars. He's garbage.
Well, hopefully Tannehill isn't an R&R fan and watch this. We just gave him bulletin board material.
Oh, well, you never know. I mean, we do have what?
Are we popular in the Tennessee market, the Nashville market?
Possibly. We go coast to coast. Good friend Derek Poole watching us weekly over there.
Yeah. So let's, we've talked about the Bengals defense, Tannehill. So let's go to the offense. What's on the other side of the Bengals? Their defense. What's Joe Burrow going to be facing today?
Well, they've got. I don't see a big game for Mixon. They have a very stout run defense, but their secondary can be exploited. Now, that being said, it's going to get down, like it always does. How much time can the offensive line give Burrow? That's a big if, because let's face it, all year Burrow hasn't had very much time. He's been the most hit quarterback in the league, but he would love for Tennessee to blitz him. He thrives when teams like to blitz him because he's just deadly with his accuracy and reading where the best matchup is. But again, it's all going to get down to how well. Now, if Tennessee doesn't blitz, we best give him some protection if they're in, rush 4, because that's going to be a huge advantage to Tennessee if they get pressure with just 4 consistently.
And that's what they do a lot of. From my understanding, they don't bring a lot of the blitz. So I think it's Burrow's day. Like we talked right before we came on air. Zach Taylor got his big win last week. He's got to be on a high from that. I hope he doesn't go back to the conservative ways. You got to let Joe throw. Let Joe cook. I think, with the weapons that he has, like you said, the running defense of Tennessee being stout. I think what's crazy this week, the national media finally found Joe Burrow. It's crazy. I mean, just reading any website you get, okay, this guy's special, this guy's special. I mean, so they found it. But I truly believe the Bengals now they're playing with house money. I think are we gonna talk about our predictions?
Well, let's just talk what we kind of touched on it. The kickers. Let's talk about India and McPherson. If it gets down to a kicking game, how do you down who has the advantage?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have the clear advantage.
Absolutely.
Clear. I mean, and especially McPherson making 4 out of 4 last week. I mean,
and we remember did to us.
We do.
Yeah.
He missed that field goal and reached down and grabbed both of his calves. That was, I've been a Bengals fan for 30 some years. That was a low point.
Hey, and remember what we said, we don't trust a kicker that's tipping the scales more than us.
No, we don't. We don't. And it very well could come down to a field. I mean, the Bengals are getting 3.5 points. Is the line still 3.5?
It is. It is.
So field goals are going to be important. Man.
Well, so let's talk predictions. What are we thinking, buddy?
I think that Burrow, I mean, if you just look at the quarterback matchup, Burrow has the advantage, and that's, what I tend to gravitate towards, unless just, defenses are great or, whatever is there, running games. All things being equal, Derrick Henry, what's he going to do? But I think the Bengals pull one out. I'm going to go 31-28.
All right. So here's how I see this playing out. I still think Derrick Henry he isn't going to be Derrick Henry we're used to. I think he's still going to be a little gun shy, especially early. I think the Bengals capitalize on that and they get up early. The way the Bengals run their secondary, I don't believe A.J. Brown will be a factor. It'll get down to Julio Jones, against Eli Apple. That is a matchup they could exploit. Now, and I still think Julio's going to be Julio like we've seen the last couple of years. He comes up lame, he hurts, whatever. And hear me out. I think the Bengals win.
That's what I'm here for, buddy.
I think they win comfortably to the tune of 31-17.
Wow. A two-tutty win.
Yes, I'm seeing it, buddy. I'm feeling it. I think the Bengals, as long as they give Joey B just a little bit of time, that secondary will be carved up real nice.
That's a shellacking, a 14 win on the road. I like it.
Joey B continues to make his statements, continues to carve out his legacy.
I mean, we talked dynasty, 3 Super Bowls in a row. Now you're calling a 14-point win on the road. By the way, from an organization that since 1968 has not won a playoff game on the road. And you're picking a 14-point win.
They've never had Big Dick Joe.
Oh, there it is.
There it
BDJ. Is. And BDJ we trust.
BDJ we trust for sure. And I tell you what, and I think Zach is going to let Joey B cook, and cook he will today.
I mean, if the Bengals win, are we going to get back on here tonight?
I think we need to. And then I say, tell our viewers next week we're going to have you back in studio to do a live one. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah. Maybe we be back here next week to watch the game too.
Maybe.
No, but listen, I think after this big Bengals win, we get back on here dissect the game, and get geared up for the AFC Championship. How's that sound?
I like it. I like it. Who day, buddy?
All right, buddy. I'll see you after the game.
All right.
See ya.